setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad that you joined me. I don't know if you've watched the media over the last few days, but you've really seen a lot of double standards. Well, it's okay for one person to do something, and then when another person, and they lose their job, and then on the other side, they do the exact same thing, and probably even worse, and they get to keep their job. This is, gosh, I even hate to say this, how someone said that this is a learning experience that we're going through. Yes, we are learning that double standards don't work. Especially if you own a small business, or if you own a business whatsoever, or if you're running an HR department. When you have double standards within your business, you're going to have double the problems within your company. You're setting yourself up for mass confusions because you don't know where you stand within your company, what you can or cannot do. Well, the same thing out there in the media. The problem at the moment is that the media has made this double standards a political statement. So they have a double standard plus a political statement and an end and objective to enforce their political statement. What conservatives can and cannot do. But liberals can do whatever they want to do. In the same industry. We've had some really mean things said. I think that any time that any individual who tries to destroy the reputation of another person and uses very heavily graphic words should not be holding a job in any company, because you can't trust them and what they're going to say next. Companies cannot have biases. They just cannot. They cannot say this is okay for one person and this but bad for the other person. Because what happens is that now, and I'm going to speak personally on this, I don't trust them. I do not trust these companies in doing the right thing. Well, let's talk about Roseanne Barr just a little bit. We knew several weeks ago that ABC had come out with a statement saying that they were going to hold back on her political satire. They didn't want to hear it anymore, so they were going to hold it back. So we knew at that moment in time that her termination papers were already sitting in HR to shut her down. We knew it. We knew that an individual who had conservative views were going to be shut down. We just knew it. It was there on the wall. And then she came out and she said something that was bad, and justifiably she was fired, but they did it very quickly. Within an hour of her apologizing, she was fired. No sit down, no nothing. She was fired. Then we take this other individual who's on TBS, and it becomes even worse because what happened is that her TV show was taped 5 hours before airing. which means that anybody with ethics would have gone in there and said, okay, we need to take that portion out because it is disparaging another individual and calling them very bad names. A name that no one should ever call anybody. But Samantha Bee decided to do it. And it sat there in the can 5 hours prior to airing, but no one from that company, no one from the management, no one from the production side, not even her manager went in there and said, oh, you know what, I think that is too far. It went too far and we should pull it out. No one ever did that. They knew what she had said 5 hours before it actually aired. So we see a very high double standard where it was okay for them to know what Samantha Bee was going to say, but not stop her. To me, I think that's despicable. If anybody should be fired, it should be the production staff, it should be the producers, it should be the artists themselves, Samantha Bee. They should all be fired. Contracts dismissed. Sorry doesn't count it because you know why? The salary doesn't mean anything because everybody knew 5 hours before the airing of that show that she had already said something and it was on tape. A despicable statement. Double standards. So if the learning experience from this whole stupid episode of the media is that double standards do not work when it comes to taking care of individuals who show no disrespect, that show no respect for anyone. When they become so mean that they're using swear words and derogatory words and racial slurs, they should no longer be in business. They should lose their position. I'm positive that HR departments around the nation are probably sitting there, oh my gosh, what do we do within our own companies? How do we make it so that we do not have any double standards? That we're sending the wrong message to our employees that they can no longer trust us to resolve issues fairly, incorrectly, and ethically. HR departments out there should be taking a very close look at double standards within their own companies. Because it doesn't work. And it's not acceptable. Right now, the American people are looking at this and saying, what in the world is ABC and TBS doing? They are setting the precedence of a big-time lawsuit at any given time. You cannot have double standards within an organization, or within an industry, or within your own little small business. You cannot treat another employee any differently than how you would treat other employees. The problem with America is we're seeing this happen time and time and time again, daily almost, of double standards. We see it in our judicial system where a certain group of people do not get charged with crimes, and then another group of people do get charged with crimes, and the other group of people did far worse than what one individual did. So the American people are now looking at double standards within our judicial system, within our legal system, within our police system. We see this double standards, where people are not being treated fairly within the law. And we've let it go on too long because of politics. We should say, okay, the law is the law. What you did was a breaking of that law, so thus there are consequences. There are consequences for having a double standard. So we need to get away from this double standard situation, because it is sending a very bad message, not only to Americans, but also to our children. We can no longer play favorites. We can no longer play political strategy or agendas. We cannot have that. Either you go to work and you become an employee and you work. If you have a contract, you complete your contract. But you don't have a double standard within organizations or industries that say it's okay for another group of people to do something, but the other group of people cannot do it. It's unethical. If you want to talk about ethics, this is probably one of the most unethical parts of business and politics, is setting the double standards. It's unethical even in our legal system to have double standards, but yet we have them. And the American people sit there and they go, and they do nothing about it. They say nothing about it. We are a nation of laws, we're a nation of ethics, and we're a nation of doing what is right. But once we break away from doing what is right, everything crumbles. All of us are going to make mistakes. But all of us also have to be accountable for our mistakes, because it's up to us to do what is right. Samantha Bee knew that the word that she was going to use to describe Ivanka Trump, she knew that that was an evil word. But yet she did it. She showed no ethics in her work. The producers of the company showed no ethics, knowing 5 hours earlier, before the airing of the show, that there was a bad word that described a very nice person in a very, very scummy way. This is not how America works. We have become so hateful in our politics that we're willing to say almost anything. That's when you step over the line of ethics. And once you have broken ethical codes and called other people names that no one else could ever use, then we have a problem. So those of you who are out there supporting Samantha Bee, shame on you. Because now it shows that you have no ethics. For a woman, to support a woman who attacked another woman, using the worst word ever, and if you are going to support that kind of activity, then you have no idea what ethics is. Your hate may be so strong that you have now broken the red line of ethics. And you can no longer be trusted. You cannot even be considered to be viable for any of your opinions because you support hate. And you support the hate of attacking another woman. You're no longer viable for anything, because you're willing to overstep the line of ethics. Americans, we have got to really think about this, because double standards don't cut it in America. We don't accept this type of action by business, by individuals, by politicians, by people in the legal profession, by those in the courts, by those in the Department of Justice and the FBI, in the office of the president. We do not believe as Americans in double standards, and we do not believe in you crossing that line of ethics. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. I'll talk with you soon.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.